Hello, everyone. Again, we are back with a message on servant of God and ministry. Today, I would like to read from Matthew chapter 24, verse 45. It says, "A faithful, sensible servant is one whom the master can give the responsibility of managing his other household servants and feeding them." So, first of all, we need to understand that ministry and leadership development and managing other leaders is a gift of God. It's a given by master. It does not belong to you. In Luke 10, when Jesus was encouraging his disciples to pray, he said, "Pray for the Lord of the harvest." So, harvest, the ministry, the work of God belongs to God, not to us. The day we start thinking that we are the owners of the ministry, our attitude changes and we start using people for our benefit. We don't use people for God's glory. These days, most of the people are busy preparing the people for themselves and not for God. And so they are faithful to people, to their leaders, but they're not faithful to God. And so we need to understand it's a God's gift and we need to utilize it in a proper way. But what happens? This is the first phase when we come to God and God begins to give us this gift and we start serving the Lord and He starts giving us more responsibility of managing other servants, which is leadership development and equipping ministry. And then second phase is that when the master was away, the servant thought, my master won't be back for a while, and he begins beating the other servants, partying, and getting drunk. See, this is what happens when we start serving the Lord. The beginning of journey is very good, and we start serving the Lord, we do everything right. But once we are given more responsibility and we start thinking that, I can do anything I want to do because master is not going to come early. And so, as it says, he starts beating the other servant, manipulation and suppressing and beating and all kinds of, bad treatment is done to the servants, to those who are the field workers, those who are serving God faithfully by the top leadership many times. And by we start seeing that this gift was given to fulfill God's will, but most of the time the servant of God can think that God has given me this gift to fulfill my will. Most of the time, as like the new believers, the church, people come to God to fulfill their will, not to fulfill God's will. And so same way, the leader also start thinking that this gift is given to fulfill my will, my desires. And so he starts indulging in many activities which is not pleasing to God. He starts fulfilling his own desires and wills. He starts mistreating God's people. And then the third phase in the ministry is the outcome. As you sow, so shall you reap. And the outcome is in verse Matthew 24, verse 51. It says, "And he will cut the servants to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth." So there is a result of what we do. And that's why we see that many leaders, many people, they start off well, but they're not able to finish well. Let us become a servant who will finish well, who will complete this race faithfully and can say like Paul, I have fought a good fight, I have completed my race, and I have kept the faith. May God bless us.